Right, are we live now? Oh yeah, we've been live 10 seconds. I'm just here. I'm just sat here, not even saying it for live 10 seconds. I didn't even know. Right, okay, cool. Yeah, I've changed over to my computer because you know what it's like. It was my phone froze the other week as well, didn't it? I'm just gonna go over to my YouTube and delete that other stream. Bloody phone! I can't trust these phones, can you, in the heat? Right, I'm just going to go over and delete this, and then I will look back at the chat. Actually, I can pop out the chat. Let me pop out the chat. Might be able to hear some kids outside, by the way. Because there's people outside having fun in the sun or something. Here we go. I can have the chat up while I'm doing this, actually. So ask me some questions, because I've not got any topic. And I've got my water, because you've got to stay hydrated in this weather. How big is your lockup for your stock? I said this in my... Did I say this in the video yesterday or did I say it in the podcast? I said it in one of them anyway. My lockup is about... It's either 60 square foot or 80. Can't remember. It might be 80. Might be 80. But it's one of the two. It's fairly big. I mean, it's not massive. It's not one of the big, you know, long ones that you get on the back of lorries, you know, and proper long ones. It's probably about a third of that. But it's still, you know, it's still pretty big. Right, let me just have a delete of this. I could actually, you know, I could actually do work while I'm doing Thursday talks. I don't know why I've never thought of this. Right, so what have we got in here? We've got, I'll do some shout outs because I'm not doing any shout outs. We've got Clapping Me Attic, Tac Doctor, BCP, Jim Jams, who just asked that question, Chris B, Kirsten, Tommy, Lena, I think is how you pronounce that. Sue, Richard, and Ruth, it looks like. So, wow, a few people in. Yeah, right, where's this live now? I'll just go and delete that so people don't go and watch that for all of the 5 seconds I was on. Where are we? That one. No, I don't want that one. Oh, it's buggering up on me. Damn you. Right, there we go. No, don't delete this one. Don't delete the one I'm on at the moment. Oh, God. Right, okay. I'm going to delete this one. How do I delete? Oh, God, how do I delete this? Ah, it's that little 3 little dots there, isn't it? Yeah. I forgot. I'm still getting used to the YouTube studio. Right, there we go. Looks like that one's going to go in a second. Any second now. I'm not ignoring people. I'm here listening, but at the gym, like it wasn't. I know. Why, God, you're at the gym in this heat. Bloody, you'll get exhaustion or something. Right. So that's that done. So that's cool. How is it looking? Is it okay? Do I need to put the green screen up because it might be a bit. Doesn't look too bad, but it's just my face is maybe a bit off. Well, it's not my face that's off, but you might not be able to see my face. So let's have a check at this. Maybe I could up this a bit. Really get some. Yeah, that's probably a bit better, but it's going to be very hot, that, because that's on full power. We'll see. I might turn it down in a sec. There we go, that'll do. Oh, yeah, that's alright. Well, you can see me now. You can see me. Right. Where are we? Here is, yeah, you said, didn't you, Ruth? 38 degrees, my God, it's crazy. My dad's down in London, actually, at the minute. He said it was crazy hot the other day. Not a very good time to go down and be travelling and stuff all down there. But, question, are you going to have a holiday anytime soon? Probably a little one somewhere, but I don't think I could do a big one. My anxiety would strike me too much. I'd be so out of my, like, it'd be such a thrust out of my comfort zone. I don't think I could do it. I could do a day or two, but I don't think I could do any longer than that. It's weird for me, and I've touched on this before. Holidays make me a huge source of my anxiety is holidays, not because of. I mean, a bit of it is because of leaving my work, but it's because I'm outside my comfort zone, you know, outside my radius that I like to be in. So actually going on holiday, for everyone else can just relax down and be like, oh, yeah, you know. But when I'm on holiday, I'm like, oh my god, I've got to sleep in a different bed. I've got to, you know, I'm outside my comfort zone. I've not got all the comforts that I normally have. I'd be stressing out, and the actual holiday wouldn't do me any good because I'm just constantly stressing all the time, you know. But at some point, I've got to do it. BCP says sound and pick are fine. Oh, cool. Adrian's in. Antiques. I love a nice scorch of a day, but don't get a lot of work done from outside in the pub garden. Yeah, I've been outside a little bit. It's been quite. This morning's been fairly. What's the word I'm looking for? Just a nice temperature, you know. It's not been too bad, but you know, when it gets to 3 or 4 o'clock, it gets hot. It's weird actually, because I used to always get taught in high school. Well, not high school, but like when I was in primary school, and also when we used to go to like after school club, there was this woman who used to always say to me every now and then when it was a hot day, she'd say, "Oh, stay out of the sun between 10 and 2 because that's the hottest point in the day." But now, right, I swear that's not right. Because honestly, as I've looked at the weather over the months or whatever, it always seems to fall at between 3 and 6 p.m. That's when it really gets hot. Because if you look at it now, at 1 o'clock, it's meant to be the hottest point of the day, apparently. But it will be hotter later on. Because if you look on BBC Weather, or if you look on a weather app or anything like that, the temperature actually continues to rise all the way up till about 5 p.m. So I think that's crap, the fact that, you know, 10 and 2 is the highest point of the day. I don't think that's right. I think that's, I don't know, I think that's old information or something now. But anyway, question, do you keep account of everything you buy, even when it's an impulse buy that you did not plan? Yeah, you have to for records. So of course I keep everything in my little black book. Obviously when you go into car boots, it can sometimes be harder to remember what you paid for. Let's say you've got a huge bulk amount, but you've got to, you know, it's something you've got to record, you've got to have that information aside, and then obviously if you were to get, what do we call it? What do we call it? You get audited, that's it. If you get audited by HMRC and you don't have that information, then you're going to be, you know, well, they're not going to be happy with you anyway. You know, I'm sure they'd let you off with small bits and bobs here and there, because, you know, we all make mistakes. I'm sure we've all dropped a receipt or something from time to time and not been able to get it or whatever. But if you did that, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't then be able to claim. You know, like for example, if you didn't have the receipt there, yes, you could maybe have put that money into your account, but then HMRC would probably say, well, you can't actually claim that money because we've not got a visible receipt for you, even though you knew you picked it up and everything. So, yeah, you've got to make sure that basically everything you're buying, you're recording, you've got your receipts, all the rest of it, and, you know, all is squared away essentially. So yeah, I keep a record of everything. It was hard at first not to keep a record of things, but to understand what I was doing with accounting and stuff, and I touched on that, I think, in the podcast the other week. Adrian says, has anyone ever told you that you remind them of Sid Little from Little and Large? Let me type it in, let me Google it, Sid Little. Good thing about doing it on my computer, I might do it more often on my computer, is I can actually Google stuff and everything. Oh yeah, look at that, yeah, Sid Little, look at that. I don't think I've seen him before, but I might have seen him before, actually. Yeah, I can see that. I can, like, if I was older, I'm looking at all old pictures of him. But when I'm older, yeah, I can see there would be a bit of a resemblance there. I mean, even now you could say possibly. Especially with my new glasses, you know, these new glasses maybe a little bit. But yeah, I could definitely see when I'm older I'd have that look. Let me go off this again. And let me go back onto the chat. And I'll go up. Oh no, okay. How many's in? Can I see how many's in? Let me check that. 22, we're not doing too bad. Come on, get them all in. Get everyone in. Pop it, everyone pop in. I think barely anyone gets audited anymore. It used to be like, yeah, that's what because I think I've literally heard of no one. You know, I've heard of no reseller that's got audited. I know Karen touched upon it, and she said she'd been doing it for God knows how many years or whatever she'd been doing for, and she was saying about auditing, and she's never been audited or anything. I don't think Nick and Andrea have, or I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speak for them, of course, but as far as I'm aware, I don't think they have, or I don't think anyone on YouTube has. You know, any of the YouTube resellers. So. Yeah, I don't know. But I suppose the good thing about being like on YouTube and displaying it all for everyone to see is that HMRC are already going to be a bit more trusting of you, because you're actually putting that information out there publicly, or some of it. You're putting some of the information out there publicly anyway. So then they might feel the representatives from HMRC, if we did get audited, are going to be maybe a little bit more open and trustworthy and trusting towards us, because we're putting it out there already. So it's quite interesting to think that might not necessarily go in our favour, you know, if we're YouTube resellers, but hopefully I would feel that it would account for them being able to trust us a little bit more, because we are being open and stuff, and we're not hiding things away. You know, the people who are literally maybe there's few lurkers on the Facebook groups, or maybe people who aren't even on the Facebook groups, they're the ones who are going to be the tax dodgers. They're the ones who are going to be the people who aren't looking after their accounts in the way they should, and therefore, I don't know, maybe HMRC go after a few of those people, and I just don't know about it, or maybe they don't, I'm not sure, but they're the ones that obviously we've got to be looking out for in more force, really. But I have heard quite a few resellers say that they don't do that, you know, that they don't put any resources into, or much resources into actually tracking down those people and stuff. But I mean, you never know, there might be people out there who are like, sort of, what do you call them? Not, maybe headhunters, is that the right word? I'm not sure, maybe it's not. But, what's another word that you could use? Like not vigilantes, because I'm trying to reference someone who works at HMRC and tracks down these people, so that wouldn't be a vigilante, would it? Sort of like a little, what do you call it? Not a bailiff. What? I don't know. The word's gone, but you know, I'm sure you know what I mean. Someone who literally like goes hunting for these people and stuff. Oh my God, who's big breast camber girl? What the hell? What the hell? Oh my God. Was hidden by BCP. What's going on in the chat, I tell you? Bloody hell. How much do you make in a week on eBay? I know it's personal, so you don't... Well, it's not necessarily that it's personal, it's just that it fluctuates, like, massively. There's been times in, like, literally been times in Q4 where... you know, in a month I've done 6 or 7 grand or something in turnover, and then, like 3 grand or something profit off that. And then there's been other months where I've done absolutely crap, like I've done like 1,500 in turnover, and, you know, even when I was starting, there was times where I was doing like, you know, 4, 5, 600 in the first few months, and obviously less than that when I was completely at the start. So it's just that it fluctuates massively. You really can't ever put it down, you know, it's just so massive, the fluctuations, and this year has been like crazy massive, the fluctuations, you know. January, February time, I think I was doing fairly okay, and then the summer has just hit, and it's just like dropped off a cliff, and you know, it just fluctuates massively, that you can't ever say, oh well, I do consistently, let's say 500, 600, £700 a week, or I do £1,000 a week, because of these seasonal changes, because of this year in particular, for whatever reason. I'm not going to get into all the reasons, because I've explained all the reasons why I may think it might be. But, you know, there's all these different reasons coming in this year in particular that may make it more up and down and stuff. You know, political situations and whatnot, and other things as well. But as I say, I won't get into detail on them, because I've talked about that so much. But it's just, yeah, you can't put it down. And I think that if you try and get some consistency, as soon as you've got it, you know, as soon as you've got that level of consistency, something gets thrown in the works again, and then something, you know, you might either go up a little bit in turnover or revenue, turnover or profit or whatever, or you might go down, and, you know, something might hit you negative. So it's just this, like, big roller coaster thing, like I've explained in so many videos. And yeah, it's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy, you know. Why so many dislikes? Like, can I see dislikes on here? I don't know if I can. 6 likes. It doesn't say dislikes. I don't know. I can't see dislikes. Oh, got 30 in. That's cool. Yeah. So I don't know. I can't see dislikes, so I don't know how many dislikes we got. But there's no point in even saying that because we always get dislikes. So, yeah, MM Antiques. You know the case. You've been a regular, so we always get loads of dislikes. And I've been going through the run of it, and I've got into this in previous episodes, but I've been going through the run of it anyway. So it's just one of those things, isn't it? Would you be prepared to share an overview of your graphics like Zahir does? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I've thought I have. Actually. I think did I? I'm wondering. Did I actually do that one time? I did. I swear I did a. Oh no, it wasn't that I shared an overview of my graphics. I did do a video ages ago sharing like my profit and loss accounts and stuff like that. I did maybe one video or 2 videos. I did that on. But, I've thought about it on numerous occasions. I've thought about doing videos with it. I thought also about doing, literally setting up a new shop as well. And because what I thought would be really good for new resellers who watch my channel and just people who are coming on board on my channel to actually start a journey from day one. So literally share my journey completely on my new store that's, completely fresh, that is starting from ground zero kind of thing, and just share it basically, and go through it. Maybe do it on maybe not a daily basis, but a couple of times a week. I share videos around it, how my sales are going, what what I'm picking up, what my turnover and everything is, and how I'm doing my listings, and all, like really go into depth on this new store. But then I thought to myself, oh my god, yeah, but if I did that, the amount of work and stuff that would be coming into it as well. So I kind of abandoned that idea, and then I thought to myself, because I wanted it to be fresh. I wanted it to be from ground zero. People know where I'm at on that store, and basically we just see how we do running a second store, and it's kind of like a shared project type thing, and a public shared project. But with my store at the moment, I don't know. There's been probably quite a few times that I've thought about doing it, but then I thought to myself, do I want to? Is it something that I want to do? And also the thing is, not necessarily with figures and stuff, but people will be able to access my store more easily as well if I did that, because I've always been, for the last 2 years or so, I've always been a bit more conscientious about privacy with my eBay. Now, I know that's a little bit contradictory, because people if people want to find my eBay store from my YouTube, they can do so. There are ways of getting around me not showing my ID. They can find my eBay store, but it just makes it a little bit harder if, let's say, I don't show my ID, my eBay username and stuff, because I've had it in the past. I've had a couple of people on my eBay where I believe there have been trolls from my YouTube, right? And they've come over there and they've hammered me with messages and stuff about items and being kind of really odd with me, and I felt that they were basically trolls from my YouTube. And then I always get into this idea of, if I openly share things, if I'm really, really open about things, in the sense of all my overview and all my ID and literally everything, I get this massive fear that I'm just going to get even more kind of negativity towards, not necessarily the way I run my business or anything, but I'm thinking that trolls will then go over there, possibly buy my items or possibly report my items and stuff, because they don't like me on YouTube or something, or they have a vendetta against me or something. And I know it might sound a little bit ridiculous, and it possibly is, and it possibly is, a lot of it is paranoia, but I don't, I feel the need to protect my business a little bit, because, if there is even a shadow of truth in that, even a little grain of truth, then it could spell something bad for my business. And I wouldn't put it past certain trolls, right, who really have something effed up in here that they would go over to someone's eBay, report a load of items or buy items just to leave negative feedback on stores and stuff, just to basically hammer someone's account down. I wouldn't put it past certain people. I mean, you'd have to be pretty, you know, thingy in the head to do that, but I wouldn't put it past, because I've had some trolls where they really eat into you, you know, and I know that some of them are just all bark and no bite and all the rest of it, but I think you do have to be, you have to be a little bit protecting of your store. But getting back to your actual question at hand, Zahir does that, as you're right, and he's not had any of that kind of backlash or anything, has he? But I don't know whether he actually shows his ID. I don't think he actually shows his eBay ID, does he? But he does show his overview and stuff. So, yeah. I mean, the PayPal route is a way to go, because if you show your PayPal route, it's not going to be an affiliation with your eBay. You're just showing your PayPal overview. So that would be an option. But certainly the whole eBay overview and stuff, and certainly showing my ID, that's why I stopped showing my ID. Yeah, I don't like going down that route too much. Anyway, let me have a look in the chat, because I probably missed a load of chat in here. I haven't a clue, actually. Right, let me have a look. Ad is shielded from the disliking hordes. Well, I just don't care anyway. I don't know what you quite mean by that comment. Whether you mean that I just don't, whether you mean basically I have a self-defense shield in terms of my own onlook towards them, I suppose, and I don't really care, or whether you mean I've got an actual shield in the form of other people liking my videos. I'm not sure, but I just don't care about the dislikes. I'll moan about it because it's my right to moan about it. I put work and effort into my YouTube, and when I get dislikes, I'll moan about it, but it doesn't affect me like in the same way anymore as it did. Like it used to really get me down, but now it's just like, right, okay, if you're gonna dislike it, but I know I've put the good effort in, and I know that the mainstay of my audience, if that's the right phrase to use, I think it is, the mainstay of my audience know that I put the work in and they enjoy the videos, so that's cool, you know? Right, anyway, where are we in the chat? As I say, if you got any more questions, whack them in the old chat. How do you deal with the slow sales times? I keep listing run sales, but I do get down with slow times. Feeling it more now as I've just gone full-time reselling. So yeah, are you basically feeling the slow sales as well? Which I think this week I've not checked the general consensus. I like to check the general consensus of everyone and where they're actually at. So I don't know what the general consensus of resellers is of this week in particular, of how slow or good it's been for people. I would imagine it's been maybe 70-30, maybe 30% people are saying it's good for them and maybe 70% are saying it's bad. I would imagine it's a little bit more than that 50-50 that it can sometimes be, because of obviously the good weather and people not buying as much and stuff and just generally just out in the sun. So yeah, I'm guessing there's more people with slow sales this week than there is with good. But in terms of how I get through it, I mean, I'm just in the same boat as everyone else. I've been doing everything the last few weeks to get these. I mean, my granddad, I was at his birthday meal on Sunday, and he does eBay as well. I don't know how many items he has on, but yeah, he probably has a fair few on anyway. But he does eBay as well anyway. And he was saying to me the last 3 or 4 weeks has been absolutely shocking. You know, and I know there are other resellers who have complained about this and stuff, and there's loads of different factors that it could be. There's not just the weather, or there's not just one thing or the other. There's loads of different factors it could be. But I'm in just the same position as I said. I did a sale a few weeks ago. I did multi-buy. I said this in the live stream yesterday. Did multi-buy. I've got promoted listings running. I do need to go in and actually have a reduce of a few items as well. I've not done a general reduce of items, because I do want to do that anyway, because there's certain items that I've had on for a while that I do want to do just a general reduce of. I did send offers to watchers. That got me a couple of sales, but they were only like little sales anyway, like £10-15 sales. But yeah, I'm doing everything I can, and it's just dire. I mean, today I think I've done one. Have I done one sale? Let me check. Oh, it's going slow, my... we done one sale? Yeah, done one sale, 31 quid. So, I mean, considering it's a really... One sec, let me flip back onto the chat. Considering it is a really hot day, and it's, you know, it's 1 o'clock now, 31 quid, it's okay, but still, you know, it's not great. I mean, it really isn't. But as I say, Monday, I said on my live stream, Monday was really good at 166 I did on Monday. And then the next day was 59, so between the 2 days I did over 200, the Monday and the Tuesday, but still, you know, other days have been dire. I mean, I'll just wheel off a few of the numbers here. So 56 on one day, 58 on another day, 114 on another day, 87 on another day, and then there was a couple of days that I did like 40 quid. I mean, it's been dire. There was my lowest day, which was, my lowest day was 8 quid. 8 quid in a day. That's insanity on eBay. I mean, that's insanity. But yeah, no, it wasn't 166, 168. I'm getting that wrong. Monday was 168, and then Tuesday was 59. But yeah, so you can see there from them figures, it's not brilliant. It really isn't brilliant. There's been days that have been just poor, basically, and just not good. But that's the way it goes. I'm trying to judge my business on the slow months, which is now. And if I'm judging my business on the slow months, it's not looking good in terms of the slow months, if I isolate the slow months. So that's why I'm trying to put all my effort in listing, multi-buy, promoted. I mean, it's not like I've not got a large inventory. I've got a large inventory, so I just need to get selling some of it. I just need to actually getting it out the other door, getting it out the door. It's like I mentioned yesterday about this funnel. It's like, you know, I've got all this not unlisted stock, but all this listed stock, and also a lot of unlisted stock in the kind of the top half of the funnel. But then the bottom half, for whatever reason, it's kind of struggling to get through, and sales are just trickling in slowly, despite all these different things I'm doing using to try and stimulate them. Now, of course, it will pick up when, you know, the more quicker months come around, maybe sort of mid Q3, you know, I don't know what, September time, August, September, but, and then obviously Q4, but I can't judge my business on what it's doing in Q4. I can't do that, you know, so I've got to make sure that I'm judging it on the slow months, like everyone says to do. So, you know, I've got to do that, and that's why I'm putting in effort now to simulate these sales, so that then I can at least feel like I'm at a fairly healthy level in these slow months. And then even if I'm just in my base healthy level in the slow months, then I can be really, really healthy in the faster months. Then it balances out okay. But I can't be in this kind of realm of, oh, this is getting kind of unhealthy in the slow months, which is where it is now. It's kind of getting unhealthy, the level of sales I'm at. So I've got to kind of work on that, and that's what I'm doing. You know, I'm trying my best to just get things sorted, you know, get things out. It's like today I've got plenty of listings to do. I'm going to do some listings later on. Last night I was listing. I'm going to go down to my lockup at weekend. I'm going to get some listings done. I'm probably going to work a little bit this weekend. Just, you know, I mean, normally I've been having weekends off recently, but to be honest, I feel like I've just got to get a bit of work done this weekend, even if maybe I don't work one of the days but work the other one. Yeah, I just need to get some things pushing. But at the same time, with it being such hot weather, that does impact it more than you may think. It does impact it quite a lot. So you've also got to be aware of that, and the fact that if the weather were to kind of settle down a bit, you would then get a few more sales just by default. More people looking on eBay, browsing, that sort of stuff. So I do think the weather does impact it quite a bit. Anyway, let me just have a look at the chat, because I'm so... Yeah, sales are fairly bad for me too, except for the wholesale stuff. Oh yeah, you do wholesale stuff, don't you? I can't send offers to watches, not available for me. Not really noticing sold sales, maybe because I'm consistently listing. Yeah, I mean, I didn't do any listings on Tuesday, and obviously I've not been listing over the weekends as well. So, I try to do the Monday to Friday listing every day kind of thing, and then having the weekends off, of course, like I said. But this week I didn't list on Tuesday, so that might be hindering it. And of course, not listing Saturday and Sunday as well. Yeah, it's a bit. What I might do, you know what I might start doing? Is doing the Monday to Friday thing, right? And I do like 10 listings a day or so, or 15 listings a day, whatever I'm challenging myself to do on any given week. But then I schedule, maybe even if it's only just 2 to 5 listings or something, over the Saturday and the Sunday. So 2 to 5 listings maybe on the Saturday, 2 to 5 listings on the Sunday, just so that then I'm actually getting new listings on. I don't have to work on the weekend because I'll do those listings, I'll schedule them listings out within the week. But then at least it's some consistency there, because I really do think, and this slow sales period for me, that has extended for quite a while really, over this summer kind of thing, with good days here and there and all the rest of it, good little times here and there and stuff, but generally fairly quite slow. What I've really realised is that consistency is the biggest factor, the biggest factor. If you're not being consistent, if you don't have the motivation to be consistent or anything like that, then you're going to have to kiss a few of them sales goodbye, because they're just not going to come. And of course also, like Ken's mentioned before, and many other people have mentioned before, you know, part of the new items that you're listing, let's say you list 10 items, or well, let's say you list 50 items in a week, for example, 10 a day, Monday to Friday. A good chunk of them listings, if they're decent stock and you've priced them right, are going to sell within the next week or so. And if you've not listed consistently on that week, then you won't realise those new sales. So, of course, that's kind of part of it as well. So, yeah, you know, consistency is a big one. But the good thing is, in the hard times, that's where you learn the most. You really can learn and grab a lot of knowledge, because it makes you understand where it is you need to go, what it is you need to be doing, what it is you need to be implementing. For me, the biggest lesson out of all of this slow period that's screaming at me, absolutely screaming down my throat, or screaming in my ear, is buy more toys, goddammit, buy more toys, because the antiques are all well and good, they're brilliant, everything, you do get sales, but the fact is, you need a pretty large inventory if you're going to do the bread and butter antiques particularly. If you're going to do slightly higher value rare antiques, you're not so bad, but I talked about this in my podcast, so I won't elaborate too much on this, because it'll ruin it for the podcast on Monday, but yeah, you do need a fairly large inventory if you're going to do that, so the fact is that I essentially need to not scale down the antiques, but just stop buying them as much for a while. Get back into the car boots. We're in summer anyway, so the car boots are on and everything. Buy some toys, get them on. Preferably, if I can, do some auctions with the toys as well. Get the turnover around Sunday to Sunday kind of thing, and just get some sales in that way for the summer. And then also, I've got a good chunk of toys and games for Q4, so that's Q4 sorted. That's fine, but I need to keep being consistent with that. I need to keep being consistent with both buying. What's that? Some kids outside screaming. Anyway, what was I saying? Then obviously when I've got those profits from Q4 from them toys and games, I need to reinvest a good chunk of them profits into more stock for the next Q4. So I've got that banked away, squirreled away, and then keep buying the toys and games. I think that this year and next year, I'm going to be back buying a few more toys and games. That's got to be the way, because I don't think, unless I'm going to have 3,000 to 5,000 items on eBay, and that's no joke, I think it will take about that really to see me through the summer months with antiques and collectibles, if I wanted to just do solely antiques and collectibles. But getting to that number is unrealistic for me at this given time period, because I'd have to buy another lockup, or not buy another lockup, but I'd have to rent another lockup to be able to get the space necessary to store the extra 2,000 to 3,000 items. I'd have to buy a lot more from the auctions and everything, and it's just not what I want to do. I don't want to take it that far, to be honest. I just don't. So what I'd rather do is mix the antiques with the toys, get back to buying more toys, get back to a healthy level of toys in my inventory, and then see how we go from there. And I can pretty much say with a good level of certainty that will really help me through the slower months into next year, and that will then make me a lot happier, because then I'll be thinking, hang on a minute, we're not hitting this kind of slightly more unhealthy level in the slower months. We're actually hitting a level that is, okay, it's quite basic, but it's just about healthy for me. And then obviously it picks up into the quicker months anyway, or even just months like February and March can sometimes be okay. Even January can be sometimes okay. So I think that's what's screaming at me really, and that's the way I need to go. Also, what's screaming at me, unfortunately, and this was touched upon yesterday in the live stream, is YouTube really. I mean, I spend far too much time on YouTube. It's not the live streams particularly. The live streams are pretty easy. I can just do they're cool. I can just do them really, really easy. Shut the live stream off, and that's me done. Can do a quick thumbnail for them or whatever. Fine, that's cool. But doing the vlogs or doing the videos that take a bit more editing, and that obviously I challenge myself to edit them more because I really enjoy editing. But doing that is stifling my time. It's squeezing my time. So yeah, I mean that's something that's got to be looked at. I've got to be harsh. I've got to be harsh. That's the thing, and it pains me to do so because I love it so much. I love YouTube so much, and I love doing the vlogs and everything, and I love editing the vlogs, and also what was the other thing I was saying as well? It was a thing, but I don't know what I was saying a minute ago. I'm just talking so much, but yeah, I've just got to be harsh with myself, and maybe even I've got a plan actually on my wall there of a few pages of the plan for this year of what I wanted to do, and I need to reassess that, and I need to rewrite that. With some of the developments that's happened, and some of the things that have happened in my business, and thinking, right, this is where I want to go now, and I need to adapt that. So I need to do that, and essentially be a bit more harsh with myself. And if it does mean that my content, I hate to say it, and I really do hate to say it, I genuinely don't like saying it with a passion, but if it does mean that my content has to suffer in terms of its quality a little bit more, in terms of quality of editing of the vlogs and stuff, in terms of maybe not even doing vlogs as often, or doing certain things like that as often, and doing more live streams, or doing more videos that are a lot quicker, then that's how it's going to have to be. And I just hope and pray that, and I really do hope and pray that people stick with me through that, because to be honest, I don't want, because I know that if I sacrifice certain parts of the channel because I need the time, which is genuine for my reselling, I know that certain people aren't going to watch, and that's sad for me in a way, because I want to be as attentive as I can to those people, and I want to bring them a really decent experience. And when I don't do that, I do feel down, because I want to help people. I want to bring people the best of me. And when I say the best of me, I do mean the best of me. I don't mean the best of someone else's editing. I don't mean the best of someone else's video production. I mean the best of my video production, which is a little bit eccentric, a little bit different. But that's the kind of way I like to roll. And so that's why it makes me sad, because I can't bring people the best of me in that way. And therefore they can't be satisfied with that best level that I can provide to them. So yeah, I mean, might be that I have to just do more live streams. It might be just that I have to do a few more chilled videos. I mean, sales updates don't take very long, so I'd probably end up still doing sales updates every now and then. But that might be the way it needs to go for a few months with my YouTube, and really get back to focus with my reselling, and stuff like that, really. I mean, it's just sad. It really makes me sad that I have to be honest with myself in that way, and say that that's what needs to happen. It also kind of makes me a little bit sad. It's not so bad, because I do like doing toys and games anyway, but it does make me a little bit sad to say that kind of I need to do less antiques and stuff, because I do love doing the antiques. So, I mean, even that is kind of a little bit sad in a way, but at the same time, and because it's so easy to get the antiques as well from auctions, but at the same time I need to apply myself and get more toys and games and stuff. So, yeah, anyway, that's probably my little rant done for today. July and August are my slow months. Just think I'm feeling slow sales more now as full time. Yeah, I think that when well, I don't know, because I just kind of jumped into it, and I was kind of always full time in a way, from because I was at uni at the time and stuff, and I had a little part time job, but it was basically that I was full time reselling from the get go. But you do feel slow sales, you really do, and because it's gone on for quite a while for me, it really is getting to me. It's like, oh god, normally it wouldn't get to me. If I had a week or two of slow sales, it's fine. But when you've had a good while, I don't quite know the time scale it's been really. I'd have to look on my dashboard and look at my sales in depth and everything for a few months. I don't know whether you can actually do that on your dashboard or your overview. There might be a way to do it. You won't be able to on your normal overview page, because that only displays 30 days, doesn't it? But there might be a more in-depth way of doing it. But no, it does get to me when it's been quite a while. And when you're doing everything you can to try and stimulate it as well. The only thing I'm not doing, that I have to admit, is I am listing, but there are days where I'm not listing, and therefore it has to be said that is probably the one thing that needs to be looked at for me. But all the other things I'm doing, promoted, multi-buy, sending offers to watchers, having a sale, I'm going to obviously reduce some things in the next week or so. So, it's not like I'm not doing stuff to satisfy whatever you may think it is, like the eBay algorithm or the eBay search or whatever it is, so it is annoying, and it does get to you a bit. Question: managing the most frustrating customer. I just when it comes to customers that are being a bit annoying, to be honest, I've been very, very lucky, touch wood, I shouldn't say this because it'll happen to me now, but I've been very, very lucky for about 6 months or more. And I've got pretty accommodating customers for a long time now. That doesn't always happen. You normally get quite a few, well, not quite a few, but you get kind of sprinkled on top of the stew or whatever. You'll get a few. It's like you're sprinkling a bit of basil or something on top of some stew, and they're the kind of the bad customers. So every now and then you will get them, but I just keep myself calm, relaxed, respond to them in a nice way, a professional way, and just do what I can to resolve the situation, essentially, and that's that. And you've got to basically do that. You just got to be professional, courteous, and treat them as you would another human, because I know it can sometimes be, if someone's like really being annoyed with you and stuff and all the rest of it, or they're just really insulting you, at the end of the day they are another human. The fact is they're most likely not going to be some sort of psychopath or sociopath or anything that doesn't feel emotion or anything like that. Just generally someone who doesn't feel emotion and is cold and heartless. They probably do harbour the ability to feel emotion and stuff and compassion. So it might be that they're just a little bit selfish or a little bit egotistical at that moment, and they want their own. They're looking for their own desires and stuff, looking out for themselves a little bit to a high degree or whatever. But if you're professional, courteous, you might find that they just reduce that a little bit, that selfishness, and they're a bit more amicable. And even if they're not, you can just deal with them professionally and move on. Get it done and dusted, and then move on. And that's that. And don't think about it again, Right then, let me have a look. I've probably got. I think it's the thumbs down people who have attacked dodgy. Yeah, I could possibly. I don't know. Maybe. Right, anyway, let me have a look here. I'm missing out so much stuff. One of the reasons why I don't make videos is because of trolls potentially ruining my eBay account. Oh, so it's not necessarily paranoia completely in my own mind then. So other people do think about it. Maybe there are others out there, other YouTubers who have that same kind of fear. But I suppose a little bit of it is paranoia. I think that there would only be 1 in every 1,000 or 1 in every 10,000 people who would do that sort of thing. Probably 1 in every 5,000 or 10,000, to be honest. Not necessarily 1,000, but there are people out there who would do it. Yeah, it isn't. Yeah, also, yeah, I am aware of that. Antiques, they can find it quite easily. There are ways that you can find my store or anyone's stories on YouTube very, very easily. I won't disclose them ways because I'm just advertising it to more people. But I don't think everyone knows about those ways of doing that. I think that certain people won't be savvy in that way. I mean, it's not necessarily a hard thing to do or anything, but some people might not be aware of the method of how we can do it. But there are certainly ways to be able to find people's stores and stuff. And I had messages from people on my eBay from YouTube, so I do know that they can find my stores and stuff. But saying that, it's probably going to be the trolls that are going to be the ones who are the most savvy anyway, unfortunately, because, generally, okay, there's going to be certain trolls who aren't very intelligent, but a lot of trolls are actually quite intelligent people, unfortunately, and I do have to give them credit for that. So, yeah, they're probably going to be able to find it anyway, so it's kind of like, it's almost a fruitless exercise trying to contain it, trying to control it, but, still. For the summer slowdown, if an item doesn't have a 100% sell-through rate, you have slow sales, leave it behind. Yeah, but how do you mean 100% sell-through rate? Because what time period are you giving on that? So 100% sell-through rate in a week, 100% sell-through rate in a month, or no? And how can you get 100%? You could get 100% sell-through rate on one single item, but let's say you're taking an inventory of 500 items, right? And let's say you're taking in, you've got a monthly sell-through rate. There's no way you're getting 100% sell-through rate on those 500 items. It's damn near impossible. I mean, yeah, okay, potentially it might be different if you're in the wholesale niche. Potentially you might get a much higher sell-through rate. But I still think even in wholesale, you're going to have some slow sellers that are not going to sell within a month or within a few weeks. And therefore, that means that specific item doesn't have a 100% sell-through rate within that given time period. So I think it's unrealistic to say that, every item should be a 100% sell-through rate. And also, it's unrealistic to say that within a general scale, because in certain different niches, for example, the niche I'm in, antiques and collectibles, it's generally a way, way lower sell-through rate than other niches. Now, is there an argument for certain toys? Is there an argument for certain electricals? Is there an argument for certain things like that that are very, very hot at the moment, that are very, very in demand for you to price a good price and then get a 100% sell-through rate on those items and you can turn them over really, really quickly? Yes, that is a good argument, and there is a valid basis there for essentially on an individual item basis over a given time period to say, yeah, 100% sell-through rate. But expressed as an inventory of X number of items, you just can't get 100% sell-through rate. In my experience, selling various different things, not wholesale, mind you, so I'm not talking about wholesale here, but reselling various different things, various different niches, you're never going to get a 100% sell-through rate expressed on an entire inventory. But yeah, I agree with the fact that you need to be picking up items and leaving items behind that aren't selling for you and that aren't producing like a turnover, producing those sales. But there's always going to be items that are going to stick as well. And in the cases of the items that stick, you've got to reassess them and move on and think maybe, right, I'm going to donate them to a charity shop, I'm going to sell them at a car boot, and I'm going to reinvest that money into other items. And it's actually funny because some of the things on this video I've actually talked about, and they're all in the podcast anyway on Monday, so you might want to actually watch a podcast because I elaborate a little bit more on these things in the podcast, because it's all about backlog, sticky stock, optimum inventory levels and stuff, and I discuss things like is there a right amount of eBay listings to have, and sort of how many listings, is there a number of listings that would qualify you as getting a full-time income on eBay, is there an actual solid number, and I go into things like that and just discuss my opinion around it and discuss a few variables and stuff around it, and so many other different things. So it's quite interesting though. With that thought in mind, ads, if anyone asks you for your shop name in your YouTube comments, what is your stock reply? I don't get it that often. I get a few people comment, and to be honest, if I'm very, very honest, I just ignore it. I don't bother with it. I literally don't reply. Sometimes I'll reply, but I can't remember like a stock reply. I can't remember what I normally say. You could always just say, sorry, I don't give out that information or something, or I'd like to protect my privacy a little bit on eBay or something. You could always say something like that, and yeah, it might be a bit kind of, what's the word? Not fickle. What's the word? A bit. I don't know the word. I can't remember. I can't think of the word. But it might be a bit kind of unemotive or a little bit kind of shunning people off. But at the end of the day, you kind of gotta protect. If you want to protect your privacy in that way, or you don't want to give your eBay store out, then you don't have to, and people just have to accept that. So that's generally why, if I do get that comment, and I get it every now and then, and I'll just ignore it because there's not really much point in. If I just say no, then it's basically just the same as ignoring it anyway. If they take it that I've ignored it, then they'll take it that, oh right, he didn't want to give out my store, kind of his store name, But maybe I should reply, but I don't. No one can really hurt your eBay realistically. I don't know. I've not if I'm very honest, I don't know. From an individual basis, I've not looked into it. I don't know whether one individual could take down your eBay account. I do know there's ways of really harming your eBay account though. So one individual could buy something off you, and then give you negative feedbacks or whatever, or they could report items and stuff like that. And yeah, okay, maybe it wouldn't like really send down your eBay account, but it would give you hassle, and you'd have to respond to that hassle, or you'd have to deal with that hassle. And it's like, do I want the added hassle, And I don't want the added hassle. And yeah, okay, maybe it might not completely take down your account, but it could severely harm you. And then also what you got to think, a lot of these trolls have little groups, don't they? So if they get a little group of people together and start spamming reporting your items, spamming reports in on your items, or start buying items from your store and then all giving you negative feedback. Like, if you imagine like 5 trolls got together, bought things off your eBay store and just gave you negative feedback, and they could do it in such a way so then you wouldn't be able to get it removed, so we wouldn't put profanity in there or anything, and they'd do it, they'd make sure that it's kind of sound, so and you couldn't get eBay to remove it, and then you've got a hit of like 5 negatives on your account, and that takes you massively down. And people, I swear, there's a lot of people who still look at feedback, and although it doesn't really mean anything in terms of your, seller standards, or in terms of your, your defect rates or your late delivery rates, well, actually, it does mean something in terms of your late delivery, if they say that it didn't arrive on this date, so it can affect you at late delivery, but, it doesn't really too much impact your seller standards. But, people who are looking at your account and stuff see that maybe you've now got 96% feedback or 95% feedback or whatever, then that's a hit, that's a hit, and that's quite, and not only that, but the kind of emotional weight of that, the fact that you've worked and worked and worked at your eBay account, and some, like, absolute, D-heads, I'm getting angry now, because I actually, I have a lot of passion for my eBay, and thinking about this makes me get quite riled up and stuff, that people would do that, and I'm sure on some occasions, somewhere, to someone, something, maybe to a slightly lesser degree, but something may have happened like this, and they end up, literally taking down your business and taking down what is essentially your livelihood. Now that is completely immoral and wrong in my opinion, and if no one should be able to do that without valid reason for doing so. There's valid reasons for reporting an eBay store. There's valid reasons for leaving a negative feedback. That's why they are in place. But no one ever should have a right to do that for not a valid reason, for just trolling or anything like that. That is absolutely disgusting in my opinion. And so that it just makes me angry, it really does. So I think there are ways that people can do it. I think people can do that, and it does make you a bit scared as well at the same time, it really does. But people who do that, they've got to live with that burden that they've kind of messed someone's life up, or they've harmed someone in such a way. So it's kind of on them as well that they're going to do that, and they've got to take that weight. It's kind of like, I mean, obviously it's not like killing someone, but you would have an insane, well, if you weren't a psychopath, because psychopaths don't feel guilt, but if you, or is it sociopaths that don't feel guilt? I think it's psychopaths that don't feel guilt. But unless you're a psychopath and you didn't feel guilt, if you killed someone, you wouldn't feel it. You wouldn't feel the guilt and stuff. But if you weren't a psychopath and you killed someone, you'd feel an intense amount of guilt for the rest of your life. You'd be in so much stress and turmoil and everything. And it's similar for those people who do that. They'd feel a sense of guilt. They wouldn't feel it on the extent of killing someone, of course, but they'd feel that guilt. And so they've got to live with that burden anyway, of essentially knowing that they've torn down someone's business and torn down someone's livelihood, essentially. So yeah, anyway, so that's that. I'll go down the chat now. It's been quite a negative one, this episode. I'm just talking about all the stuff that can go wrong, and all the mistakes and all the slow sales and everything. It's just been really negative, but I suppose you have to have a bit of negative, don't you, to balance the positive. What do you classify as good sales per day? Do you have a target number? Well, I used to go off 100 quid a day. That was like my number, and I still go off that a little bit now. In the summer, it's been harder to get that. It's been much harder to get that. But I used to go off £100 a day, and I'd say that number's still in the back of my mind a bit. But it's yeah, I mean, I suppose it's kind of, that's a good number to go for, because if you think about it, £100 a day, you got 3,000 in turnover. Unless you're spending a lot in a month on stock, unless you're spending loads of money on a month on stock, then you're going to come out with a decent profit. It's going to be a half decent profit, even after your fees, your postage, etc. There's going to be a decent profit there. So that's what I used to do, and there was quite a consecutive number of months that I did that for, quite happily was hitting that. And then, there was a few months that I didn't, and then there was a month or so where I did, and now it's just up and down. It's some months I do, some months I don't, and stuff like that. And then quarter four is a different beast. Quarter four is, I mean, there was one time in quarter four where I was like to averaging about £200 a day in sales. And then last quarter four in December, I did more than that. I did more than £200 a day. And that's kind of what I do. But you've also got to be aware that sales are sales. They're not profit or anything like that. So when you say, oh, well, you're doing £100 a day, you're doing £200 a day, if you're spending a lot of money on stock, or if you're spending over the odds on postage, or whatever it may be, I don't know, or you're spending a lot of money on fees for whatever reason, maybe you're adding fees up with promoted listings or something, then that's going to eat into your profit quite a lot, and suddenly that £200 a day in sales isn't converting into a huge amount of profit. So yeah, anyway, just quickly look at the chat. If you don't change what you list, though, you can't say it's slow sales. eBay is all about adapting. List iPhones and they will sell. List a woolen sweater and you may have trouble. Yeah, very true. And that's why I mentioned before about this adaptation that I want to do to toys again, and getting back to selling toys, because what I've found is, the antiques, simply as I was explaining, are it's not viable for me. I'd need a larger inventory to actually really gain the momentum that I want to gain, essentially. So you're exactly right in that point of, you do have to adapt, you do have to kind of list new items. Of course, with the antiques, I have been listing different items, in the sense of a lot of the antiques that I'm listing are different, but essentially it's all in the same niche. So, and generally antiques and collectibles are quite a slow niche, so therefore that's why it's screaming at me from my experience of adapting over time. I've adapted quite a lot in my business. I used to sell video games. I had a time where I was selling exclusively Lego. I had a time where, and then when I've had quite a while of selling antiques and stuff, I had a time where I was selling mainly toys and games and board games and stuff, when we were better on eBay years ago. When they were more worth selling, essentially. Now board games are just dire. But yeah, so calling on my past experience, what it's screaming at me again is to just go for something new, toys and games seem to be it for me. A lot of them seem to still do well as long as you're picking up the right ones, and that will really help increase my sell-through. So yeah, again, so I would say that you're exactly right when you say about eBay is all about adapting, and you've just got to do that. I wouldn't sell iPhones though, just because for one, I don't know where I'd really get them from unless it was wholesale. But for two, I just don't really have much enthusiasm for selling electronics or selling iPhones in particular. I used to have a bit more enthusiasm when I was selling the video games and I was doing video games consoles, but I don't know, my enthusiasm for it kind of dwindled over time, and I realised that it wasn't quite for me, and I thought, I don't really want to do it anymore, and then I changed up again and stuff. But if I could get them and I could source them like really consistently, and I didn't have to do all the fixing up of them or like loads of testing with them and stuff, then I'd probably end up buying them and doing that. But you know, iPhones seem not particularly for me. Right, let me have a look up the chat, and then I'll get going in a minute anyway. Yeah, I know I'm giving him ideas. I know, but everyone knows this anyway. Come on, you've got to be pretty, like, you know, these trolls have got to be pretty dumb to not know that. I mean, it's pretty easy, you know. I mean, if you're gonna do it, I mean, maybe I'm a troll in disguise. Maybe I'm a troll, you know, and I'm like conniving and scheming and all. But no, I'm joking. But I would actually make a good troll, because I can come up with some quite. Because obviously I'm high in the trait openness, the big 5 personality trait openness. So part of being high in openness is being able to connect abstract ideas quite easily, and being able to strategize and stuff and connect things together and formulate these grand plans and stuff, and be able to do things like that. And so you know, obviously that probably comes into that, you know, being high in that trait, and being able to think, oh yeah, well, we could do it this way, and we could do it that way, and we could do it the other way. But that lends itself to being more paranoid, because you're able to think about all the different ways that they could get you, and then you're like, oh crap, you know, I better protect myself more, and really protecting yourself in such a way is futile anyway, because they're going to be able to get around your protection, you know, your protection methods. It's like whoever it was saying, was it Richard, or was it, I think it was Richard in the chat, who said about the fact that they're going to be able to find your eBay store anyway, even if you do try and control and protect it and keep it hidden a bit more. So it's kind of like the control in that way is futile. So then we get back to the point of actually really even trying to not talk about the ways that they could do it is a futile attempt at protection, because they're probably going to end up with thought about those ways anyway. So therefore you get back to the point of may as well just talk about it, you know. But anyway, that's just my logic. You know, I reckon in another life I was a logician or something like that. You know, someone who is really, really good with logic and just is on it, you know. Not necessarily like a mathematician or something, but just literally like someone who can connect all these ideas and create this web of thought that can literally put perfect logic together, you know. I'm just really good at doing that. Oh, we've got Money Mental in. Hi there, Andrew. We're going to go in a minute anyway. I'll stay on for another 5 or 10 minutes, just see if... Because I'm not down the chat. I'm terrible. I've not looked at the chat. So I'm going to have a quickly look. I'm going to quickly look down the chat and we'll see. So, where are we here? That will scare them off. I know you use your own image of yourself for your eBay. Yes, I'm meaning to change that. I am. I've had a couple of people say to me, a couple of resellers who I'm quite close with, say to me about, you know, is it a good idea to have an image of yourself on there and stuff. The image I've got on there isn't very professional. It's me, you know, it's me in a jumper and stuff, but you know, it's not really professional image. If I was gonna have a picture of myself on there, the standard template, I know it's kind of a bit cheesy or a little bit ironic or whatever, but the standard, like, you know, that businessman in a shirt and tie with the LinkedIn profile in terms of like the white background behind him and stuff, and it's very, very template. But that's probably the best way to go if you want an image of yourself, even though it is quite template. But otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to change it to. This is the problem. I was thinking about this the other day or a few weeks ago, and I'm thinking, yeah, but what am I going to change it to? I don't know what to change it to. So I might do a little image on Photoshop and change it on there and just put like a little thing, you know, my store name or something on a little banner and then upload that to it and be done with it. But either way, that's not going to look, you know, it's not going to necessarily make it look incredibly more professional or anything. But I do think that, yeah, it's probably not the ideal on eBay in particular. On other places, on other platforms, maybe it's more ideal to have an image of yourself. So, for example, on Etsy, you can have a store image, and then you can have a profile image. So your store image can be a nice little logo that you've designed yourself. But then you can go on, you can click a button that says visit the store owner, or something like that, or see the store owner. And then on that store owner page, you can have your image of yourself, and it makes it a bit more human, all the rest of it. And you can put a nice image on there, you know, it doesn't have to be some really, you know, one where you're out at a party half drunk or whatever. You know, put a nice image on there, but it makes it a bit more human. And that's nice. On eBay, you do have two pages on eBay, don't you? You have like your feedback page, and then you have like your store page, don't you? I'm pretty sure that's right. On my store page, I've got, or is it my feedback page? On one of the two, anyway, I've got it all with like logos on there, not my face. But then on one of the pages, I think it might be my feedback page, but I'm not 100% sure, I've got this image of myself on there. So, yeah, I would say it's probably not ideal on eBay to have an image of yourself on there. Just make it professional, have a little banner, knock one up in Photoshop if you can do Photoshop. If not, go on some sort of website where you can buy, you know, graphics and buy them. You know, you can go on Fiverr and stuff and pay $5 for a nice little graphics pack that someone will knock up for you quite easily, and then it just makes it nice. You know, it just makes your store nice and a bit more professional. So I would say, yeah, it's not a good idea to have an image of yourself on there, just in my personal opinion. Yeah, right, let me go down. Who has killed someone's eBay? No, I'm not. I was talking about people killing people. I used a terrible analogy of the death of an eBay store to the death of a real person. That's weird. It doesn't stand up, does it? You know, but my analogies, I tell you. No one, Andrew, adds is paranoid of trolls. I'm not paranoid. I'm paranoid of trolls a little bit in that sense, but I'm not paranoid of trolls in terms of like nasty comments or thumbs down and stuff. I'm not bothered, but in certain aspects I am a bit worried. You know, I do get a bit worried about it. Anyway, ads is live later? No, sorry. Oh, it must be when I was setting up the thing. It's not that I'm live later. Sorry. I'll take that down. Well, when I've done the live stream. My trolls are usually the dumbest of all. Well, some of them are, but then there are other ones who can be quite intelligent. Right then, I think that's about it anyway. Oh no, wait, we've got ads. Leaving aside the last 50 minutes of negativity, you seem happy and more relaxed in your videos lately. Is there something you want to tell us? Woo, about to become a father? No, I mean, I can elaborate. Do people want me to elaborate? I can elaborate on what's kind of been happening and why maybe I am a little bit more positive. But you know, it's now 2:05, so we've gone over the hour. But if people are happy for me to elaborate a little bit, I don't mind talking about. You know what I'm like? I'll talk about myself all day long. You know, I don't care. So yeah, if you want me to elaborate, just put an E in the chat for elaborate. You put an E in the chat for elaborate. And if we get like, I don't know how many we've got watching, 34. If we get like 10 E's, I'll do it. That sounds like I'm talking about ecstasy or something, doesn't it, the drug? But I'm not. No, I've not, Peter, unfortunately. No. He's dating me now, Andy. No, I'm not dating, no. It's not that. So, I see ads. No, you know, I've already read that. Sorry. Change your store picture to a picture of me ads. No, I'm not doing that. No, Andrew. Oh, God. No. Right, so we got... How many E's have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right, 10, 11. Right, okay, I'll elaborate. So... For the last... Oh, one sec. Oh, God, I'm tired. Anyway, so for the last... I've been down a little bit. All of chat, and I've been down here, and the camera was up there. Anyway, so for the last 6 months or so, maybe a bit more, I obviously last year, as you all are aware, I had counselling and all the rest of it, and I got myself into the bind of thinking that the counsellor was above me, so I didn't go counselling anymore because I didn't want to get over my neurosis by feeling that the counsellor was kind of my crutch. I wanted to get over my neurosis on my own, right? And I've not got over my neurosis, by the way, yet. I still have anxiety. I've got over the depression side of it, as you would imagine. I had bouts of depression last year, as I mentioned a few weeks ago. But, you know, I've not got over my anxiety side anyway. So, for the last 6 months, maybe 8 months, something like that, maybe a little bit longer, I've been compiling a document on myself, right? I might have told people on Thursday Talks a little bit, maybe like tiny little bit about this, but not much. So I've been compiling the document on myself, which is grounded in my own psychoanalysis. And I've been reading up a little bit on psychology, as people are aware. You know, I had that Jung book, and I've been doing other research online, and, you know, just generally just philosophy, psychology, been researching loads about it. And I've got loads of books down there and stuff as well that I've been slowly reading and still reading at the moment. And, you know, I've been compiling this document. And I've been learning a lot about myself. And so I started off with a document, and it was a little piece. It was a little piece about one of the kind of things in let's say, my unconscious, let's say, that I brought into my conscious awareness. And, you know, I just wrote a little piece on my phone. And then I kept adding to it. And I kept adding to it. And I kept adding to it. And by about, was it maybe March? I think it was maybe March. By about March, I had a huge phone note with all stuff on about me, all my, you know, different complexes I have that I've done research into and realised that actually I do identify with them, and all the rest of it. And I was pulling all this stuff from my unconscious right into my conscious awareness to be able to, you know, to be able to develop a more healthy relationship with myself, and a more holistic, well-rounded relationship with myself. So anyway, I have this document. And I thought, right, I better transfer this on my computer. So transfer it on my computer, and it's about 18 pages long at this point. Yeah, I know. I have a lot of problems. And I own my problems. I'm a human being with a ridiculous amount of problems, and I own those problems. But also, within the document, there was a lot of positive stuff, because I wanted to be well balanced, because I was drawing all this stuff from my unconscious, and I was realising, oh my god, there's a lot of crap in there. Like, there's a lot of crap in there, from childhood experiences and, you know, operations I've had and things in my life, all the rest of it. Some of which I won't disclose, because I might disclose it. I'll probably disclose, if I do an autobiography, I'll disclose them and people can read it. But, you know, I'm not going to disclose them at this stage in my life. But basically, I've had a lot of things in my childhood and stuff that, now, being more aware of them, you know, I realised actually they were more of a problem. Not necessarily at the time, because I repressed the thoughts, but they're more of a problem, or it affected me in a bigger way than I actually cared to actually have conscious attention for, basically. So, anyway, so I wrote a bit more about the positive side of me, and then what I started doing was writing a little bit about me, about who I actually am, and I really got into the question of who am I, and then I broke down my social persona. Now, what the social persona is in psychology, Jungian psychology specifically, is basically this, everything you are in your personality, who you have been told you are by your parents, who you present yourself to the world as, all the rest of it. And most people live in their social persona their entire life, you know, if they're not looked into psychology, and they've maybe got quite a lot of repressed thoughts in their unconscious. I'm just doing this, what I do is I visualise my unconscious in this way, and this doesn't represent the unconscious in whatsoever physical way, you know, in none of a physical way. But this is me unconscious, this is me conscious, right? I'm just visualizing it in that way for ease of an example. So they have these repressed thoughts. They don't maybe realize certain things about themselves. Maybe as they get older, maybe as they get into their 40s or 50s, they start to be they have a higher awareness of themselves, and they're more consciously aware of some of the things, attributes they have and stuff. But generally they have all this stuck in their unconscious for most of their life, and they think that they're just this person, they have to be this exact way, that's who they are, they're rigid. But you can go through a process called individuation in Jungian psychology, where it frees you from this fixed idea of yourself. It frees you from feeling feeling anyone's kind of it basically frees you a little bit, not completely, but it frees you a little bit from self-consciousness and feeling as if, what are people going to think? Oh God, you know what I mean? I don't care now, but and evidently I don't care, but and that scares people, because people who aren't individuated get a bit scared by people who are individuated, because they're thinking, well, I'm not necessarily fully individuated yet, but maybe got a bit more work to do with my anima, but I'm maybe a bit further along than other people are, especially at my age. So, and possibly that's a little bit to do with my ego inflation as well. So, we've got to call upon a bit of that. That's one of the things I mentioned in my document, the fact that, possibly I have a little bit more of an overinflated ego than other people. You would imagine that straight away. You could guess that watching my videos for a while. But anyway, so I've been pulling all this stuff, and I broke down my social persona, and now I feel more relaxed, because I think, oh well, I don't need to have a fixed idea of myself. I'm just going to be what I be. I'm not going to define myself. I'm just what I am. I am what I am. Actually, that's a good saying. I am what I am. So I do that, feel what I feel, all the rest of it. And I got deeper and deeper into my unconscious, and I was looking into my inner child, and there was times where I was bloody screaming, and I was really, really scared and everything. I was getting deep into this, and I was feeling depressed, and I was feeling like I wanted to do nothing, and I was feeling so bad and everything. Like I talked about a few weeks ago with the kind of depression that came in, it was to do with this process in one way. But I went through all that, and then I kept writing on my document. I kept being it's called introspection, where you look inside your own mind and pull things out and really analyze yourself. Anyway, so I was looking at all these different complexes, and then I realized I had this complex, and I have a little bit of the traits of X complex, but I don't have this complex entirely. I just have traits of it, and then all this different things, and then I'm pulling it all together, and then obviously looking into philosophy and doing meditation and things like that. Of course, that's helped. People who do meditation are generally a little bit more calmer because they're living in the now. I mean, with me, it's not really subdued my personality any. I've not got rid of my ego or subdued my personality. It's actually made me more of a colourful personality, and it's made me more accepting of myself in that way, and not necessarily made me calmer, but inside, in terms of my inner, if you want to term it this, my inner peace is a little bit calmer. Despite maybe being a bit more over the top in my personality, let's say. But so I did all that alongside it, the meditation and Zen and all the rest of it. And I more recently I've been really like digging down, really to find these final few connections that I needed to find, because I've been doing this for many months now, and I needed to find a few more connections. And I found these connections a few days ago, actually, maybe a week or so ago, that really have kind of strung everything together. Like all this document was a little bit loose. There wasn't the one big connection that kind of said to me, oh right, that's why I do all these things. But I found the one thing that, and it happened in my early childhood, when I was having the operations for my cerebral palsy. I'm not going to disclose what it is, because it's actually quite, it's very personal, and it's a complex that is, how to say, I can't even phrase it, but it's just, it's not a complex you would like to have, essentially, and it's not very nice. You could I suppose I could term it in the fact that I am a man-child. Let's put it in that way. So there's more to it than that, and the complex is named something different. Or the complex, yeah, it's a complex. But you could term it as a man-child. So I haven't essentially got to the adult stage of life quite yet, because of events that happened in my childhood, and because of events that or things that I chose to do in my early teenage years, and that's meant that I'm basically going into the adult stage of life slower. It's a slower process for me because of all these other things that have happened in the past, and my repression around my thoughts, and just generally things like that. Mainly my the issue is with me in terms of my unconscious, of my repression and stuff of these things. But anyway, so that one complex tied everything together. All the other things I had in my document, or most of them, it tied it all together lovely and beautifully. And I started to work out a few other different things within philosophy, of course, about Taoism and Zen, and really getting into that, and and stuff like that, really working out the nuts and bolts of those philosophies and religions, and that gave me more inner peace as well, if you want to term it that. And therefore, I've become a more holistic human being. Now, I want to coin a phrase, if I may, and I don't know whether anyone has coined this before, so it might not be coining a phrase. But I want to coin the phrase of becoming a fully fledged human being. And I want to actually define, because I'm going through this process at the moment, and I'm nearly completed it, I'm nearly there, and maybe visually you can see that. I'm nearly there, I'm nearly at the end of this journey. I want to actually provide a framework for this process, like Jung did with individuation, but I think there's a few different developments I could do with individuation, including individuation, but basically putting different things around it, because I think there's a few things that I could add to it, as well as not only add to it, but also, I don't want to say improve upon it, because Jung was way far superior than me, but just there's few things that I want to add my own kind of thing to it, because I can see different things which would enhance this journey. But I want to provide this framework for people, so that then with the help of a mentor, whether it be a psychoanalyst, or whether it be some sort of spiritual mentor or whatever, I don't know, but with that help they could all get through it, and they could all get to this peak that I'm calling a fully fledged human being and then this is another phrase I want to coin as well, if it's not been coined already, a fully fledged human being at the apex of human consciousness. That's what I want to get. That's what I want everyone to be. I want everyone in the world. Is this individualism? Is this what this philosophy is called? I'm not sure. But I want everyone in the world to be a fully fledged human being at the apex of their human consciousness, in which they don't feel as self-conscious, because they don't need to, in which they don't feel like they're fighting themselves all the time, because that's what a lot of people do. I've had that with my anxiety, where you fight yourself and you get in your own way and all this sort of stuff. I want them to feel more free, less attached to their shadows, as Jung calls them, and the negative side of yourself, that kind of manifestation of all that unconscious negativity, less feeling like they're projecting them on other people less, and being content with their darker side of themselves. I want them to break down that social persona, so that then they don't feel, they don't feel this self-conscious, or they don't feel too much, sense of going in on themselves, introverted. It's not wrong to be introverted, but people are like, sometimes they get crazy with it, kind of socially anxious and stuff. And I want to provide that as a basis of a part of my working life, in order to really help people, really get people to this level, and make them understand that they are perfect the way they are. They are bloody perfect the way they are. All they need to do, if they so choose to, is just go through this process, and then it allows them to understand that they are perfect the way they are. Because people, you can tell people you're perfect the way you are. They don't believe you. They have to go through this process to be able to actually know that they are perfect the way they are. And spirituality has helped me a lot with this process as well, with the meditation and stuff. It's allowed me to pair the meditation with the psychoanalysis, obviously Jungian psychology and stuff, and that pairing is, holy crap, that pairing is deadly in the best sense of the word, of course. I'm using it as a positive way of saying it. It's crazy, that pairing. It's amazing. It allows a person to be completely free, completely just blown out, completely free to experience life and their humanity. It's brilliant. And it's not to say that these people who are fully individuated or have reached the apex of human consciousness, as I'm terming it, are free of guilt or free of emotions or free of doing things wrong or anything. It couldn't be the case. These people still have problems. These people still have negative aspects to them. These people still can sometimes get annoyed and angry and all the rest of it. But it's just they are fully accepting of everything within them. They're fully accepting of their dark side. They're fully accepting of their light side. They're fully accepting of the idea that they don't need to fix a conception onto who they are, and they're just quite happy to be who they are. And therefore it's just this completely... It's this person who can fulfill their entire potential rather than kind of stifling themselves to just entertaining a half-life, essentially. They can be the best they can be, and they don't need to worry about it. They don't need to fear it too much. You can just love it, and that's what I want for everyone, really. But it does come at the fact of pain. It comes from pain because basically you have to go through all the crap in your mind to get to that place of self-acceptance, self-actualization, whatever you want to call it. It comes from a lot of pain. And believe me, I have suffered. I'm not trying to say that in an egotistical way. I'm trying to say that as a fact that I've suffered to get here. So if you want to go along this path, you're going to have to realise that you're going to have to suffer. But the suffering is worth something. It's not suffering in vain. It's voluntary suffering to be able to get yourself to a place of this apex of human consciousness, of this self-actualisation, of this fully fledged human being, whatever, and yeah, but it's hard. Life is a challenge for all of us. It always is. It always will be, whether you've reached this point or not. But I think we need to provide everyone with the tools to reach this point, because then that provides them with the ability to live life in the best way that they possibly can, the best way for them. And it's such a shame, in my opinion, that the education system stifles us in such a way, in our psychological well-being, in our the ability to provide a level of self-actualization. Such a shame that they stifle us instead of helping us grow in such a way. And at some point in the future, I'd love to challenge the education system and be able to set this up in such a way as to actually provide a basis for this within the system, so that then people can be, oh my god, can you imagine the world? Can you imagine the world? It'd be so much better. I mean, of course there'd be still people out there who murder people and people who go off the rails and stuff, but we'd have a lot more people who are just generally a lot kinder and a lot more well-rounded, because they've accepted more of their darker sides to themselves, and they've got through all that unconscious stuff that's been kind of weighing them down for so long. So yeah, anyway, in the long answer to that question, Andy, is, that's the answer. So, oh yeah, I got a sale. Oh, bloody hell. Oh, it's a $4.99 auction. $4.99 auction. Come on. What are you doing to me, Anyway, so, have you heard of the ayahuasca experience? I haven't. I will Google that, and then look at it later on. Search Google for. Oh, it's brilliant doing it on my computer. I can Google stuff. Ads doing a text. Imagine ads doing a TED talk. Let's make it happen. Well, yeah, I know, but I don't need to. I could do a TED talk, and it would be pretty cool, but if I prepared for it and everything. But it would be a disaster if I didn't prepare. But I don't think I need to. I'd rather. I wouldn't so much be bothered about doing TED talks as actually integrating this, as actually getting a group of people together and really pulling people through this, integrating this crap, because we need this. The world needs this. This is a calling. This is a vocation for me. The world needs this, and I'm not going to be so up there and high and mighty to say that I'm the person who's going to bring it to them. But if I can do what I can do to help bring it to them, then I will do that, and I'm not going to let anyone stop me or get in the way of that. I feel that this is a worthy cause, and that this will help people become more rounded, and I hope that potentially in the future, as I get older and I become more aware of myself and more individuated, that I can be a sort of, not a figurehead, but I can be an example to, let's say, those who aren't individuated, to say, look, this is maybe why you would want to be individuated, because you can look at me and you can see that I'm, let's say, more content with myself, and I'm maybe at some point in the future free of anxiety more, and etc., and more accepting of that, even so, and therefore, you know, it means that we can help those younger people, bring them forth into that, and we can make people stronger adults. That's what it's got to be about. Make these kids who are coming up now stronger adults, and more in tune with themselves, because there's so many people out there who are fighting themselves and they're not in tune with themselves. I do it every now and then. I still do it, even though I'm more aware of myself. I still fight myself occasionally. There's still times where I make the wrong decisions, where I live in my ego a little bit too much, but essentially I'm on that path. I'm moving forward towards a better sense of self, a stronger sense of self, and a more individuated sense of self. So anyway, I will fave movie quote: "You are not special, you are not beautiful, you are not a beautiful and unique snowflake, you're the same decaying organic matter as everything else, we're all part of the same compost heap." Well, there's some truth in that, Z. We are all kind of part of the, you know, in terms of ecological awareness on the planet, we're all kind of part of the same whole in that regard. In fact, I do a video on this on my philosophy channel in a few days. But when you look at your fingerprints, right, your fingerprints, as far as I'm aware, are unique, right? You know, everyone's fingerprints are unique. I'm pretty sure that's the case. So, in that way, it's nice to think that you are unique in such a way. You are special in such a way. It's like when you look at the flowers, right? You look at flowers, and there's flowers growing everywhere, right? And then some grow long, some grow tall, some grow, you know, some of the buds don't flower completely, and then other ones flower majorly, and, you know, some of the structures are just slightly different and everything, but they all grow in just a slightly different way, or there's just slight subtleties to them. There's just slight little tiny variances on all these different flowers. Just the same with humans, you know. This is why you go around and you meet different people, and you might see two identical twins, and they're pretty much identical, you know, pretty much identical in kind of you know, their physicality and everything, and maybe they've spent so much time together that they're almost identical in personality, but always will be something, some little subtle tiny thing that you can work out with them that makes them just that little bit apart. It's like when mums and dads, right, how can they tell their identical twins apart? Because they know that there's just something, even if it's a feeling in their mind, they can distinguish between them, because there's some tiny subtle difference, even, as I say, even if it's just this feeling in their mind, that they can pick up on that. So, you know, we might, for me, in my philosophy, in my more organic philosophy that comes from more Eastern philosophy and Eastern religion, it would be wrong of me, and I would be going against myself, to say that we aren't unique, we aren't beautiful. But I can see that viewpoint. That is the viewpoint of the mechanical scientific philosophy that we breed and that we interpret and that we actually enter into our education systems within the Western world, within America, the UK, Europe, things like that. In China, in Japan, in India, it's very, very different. It's, you know, it's not, there's more of an organic philosophy towards life, a more organic philosophy towards the planet, towards the natural cycles of life and death. Of course, we get into yin and yang and stuff. So therefore, I don't subscribe too much to the mechanical viewpoint of life. I see it for what it is. I understand its validity as a philosophy. It's a very, very strong and valid philosophy, and I will give it credit for that. And certainly science is an incredibly strong and valid philosophy that can also be intertwined with Chinese philosophy and Chinese religion and all the rest of it. It actually can integrate quite nicely if you look for the connections. But I don't subscribe to that mechanical viewpoint as so much as I do the not naturalistic but the organic philosophy of the East, because a lot of the things, a lot of the connections, a lot of the information that is, some of it even 2,500 years old now, with Lao Tzu and the Tao Te Ching and stuff for Taoism, is very, very valid. The school of naturalists with yin and yang and things like that, it's incredibly valid. So that's why I kind of put a lot of my effort and thought into devoting into that philosophy, opposed to this mechanical philosophy. And we're coming into a realm now where this mechanical philosophy is getting quite dangerous. It's not that it's not a valid philosophy. It's a valid philosophy. But it is dangerous because you see all this with Gary Vee and Tony Robbins and all the rest of it. And work, get up, do this, get up, do the rest of it, get up, all this sort of stuff. And there is something to say about Gary Vee in the positive light, that he is actually a very, very intelligent guy. Of course he is. He's not become millionaire for nothing. But I'm meaning intelligent in the sense of the organic point of view of life. Because he's always saying to people, I just want you to be happy. I want people to be happy, all the rest of it. And that is a very organic viewpoint of life. That's less of a mechanical viewpoint of life. But this work mentality, it drives people into thinking that, we've got basically to keep working, keep getting all this money. But why are you getting? So what are you getting money for? Are you getting money for a new computer? Are you getting money for a big house? Are you getting money for a big car? Is that really going to make you happy? For a time? Okay, I will agree with people that for a time, it will make you happy. No doubt, yeah, big car, oh yeah, everyone will love a big car, big house, everything. But you'll start to feel more hollow, and then you'll start working towards new goals, and then you'll achieve them, and then you'll be happy for a bit, and then you won't be happy, and you'll be achieving new goals, and then before you know it, you're 80 years old, you've tried to jump from goal to goal to goal, but you're thinking to yourself, I never really felt like real inner peace, or real inner happiness, like deep down inner happiness. I felt some level of material happiness or superficial happiness, but I never really felt deep down happiness. Well, it's because you've been chasing something all your life, and you've been living in this mechanical viewpoint that everyone should work, chasing things that are superficial and materialistic. And therefore, in the organic viewpoint, it's the organic philosophy. It's more about living for the simplest things in life, for the very little moments, for everything you're doing, for all of what life has to offer in its basis. Eating a bloody banana, eating something ridiculously small, really enjoying that one moment and being with it, and you'll find that very basic thing, that very intrinsic thing to life, that is where you start to find this happiness if you do it right. Because a lot of people can't eat right, and what I don't mean they can't eat right in the sense of they shove things in their ear and they don't know how to put it in the mouth. I'm not saying that. They don't eat right in the sense that they're shoveling food down and they're not being attentive to it. They're not absorbing it. And if you want to learn more about this, I have a video coming out on my philosophy channel, nice little plug here, on the divinity of food and ecological awareness, and I touch on this in quite great depth, and I touch on the more organic philosophy as well, in which as I say, I touch upon all this ecological awareness and stuff. So that is a very good video to watch, and I would advise anyone to watch it, because it goes into a bit more depth and it gives you a bit more of respect for food and reverencing food more, being loving it, nourishing it, and because it is something that nourishes you, it's something that you absorb, and it gives you the energy to continue in life, and that's a beautiful thing, really. So yeah, it just gives you a bit more respect for it. So anyway, I'll get off because, my God, we're on 2 hours or something now, aren't we? Jesus. On the other hand, if I was born into vast wealth, then I maybe would need something quite different to make me happy. Well, yeah, that's definitely possible. I'm going to get my own spiritual philosophy, thinking face. Ooh, thinking face. I don't know what that means, but adds other channel. Oh, thank you very much, Armchair Philosophy. Yeah, thank you very much, Bumcrack Picker. I mean, yeah, Armchair Philosophy. That's my other channel. If you want to go over there, I basically ramble about all this stuff over there. And not necessarily the whole psychological stuff that I was talking about earlier on, but the whole philosophy stuff and organic philosophy and all the rest of it. Anyway, yes, yet despite all you have just explained, we all still decompose into the same heap. Yes, we do, but it's the way you look. This is the only thing. This is the only thing in life, right, that I've realised in my pursuit of philosophy so far. That there's one thing to life. There's one basis to life. But then there's all these things that we build on top of it in terms of all these new philosophies. Whether it be a mechanical philosophy, an organic philosophy, whether it be a nihilistic philosophy, whether it be, whatever all these philosophies are, existentialism and all these. Obviously, I'm broadening it when I say mechanical or organic. You can actually break those down into further, smaller subcategories of philosophies. But, you got all these philosophies on top of it. But they don't mean anything, really. The basis, when we get rid of everything, we get rid of words, we get rid of all these philosophies, and if we were just silent for an entire lifetime, we were just silent, the same thing would happen. The same thing would happen. And we're not going to put a name on it. We're not going to say, oh, well, this would happen or that would happen or everything. But the same we could call it, but I don't want to put a name on it. The same thing would happen. All I'm going to say is thing. I shouldn't really say thing, but otherwise I'd have to be silent, wouldn't I? To explain it, I have to explain it in words, which is the most stupid thing ever. But there's that, right? But we like to put all these ideas, asphyxiations around it, but actually, it's just the same thing that happens. So, what I'm trying to explain is that in life, happiness comes from you, just from you. I've looked into many different religions to try and find meaning of happiness, of trying to find a way to say, oh, right, well, I don't need to worry anymore because God will take care of everything. I give myself to this God. I have complete faith in this God. And God will give me everything. Well, I've looked into religions, and I'm sorry, I'm very, very sorry to say that... oh, what's that? Was that a super chat? Oh, thank you very much, Tommy. I will look down. Did you put a comment to it? Good show today. Oh, thank you very much, Tommy. Glad you enjoyed it anyway. So, yeah, I do appreciate the super chat as well. So, what was I saying then? So anyway, I've looked into these different religions, and unless you're gonna... What's the word? Put in, like, a little bridge, and kind of want to believe it. You have to want to believe it. That's the thing. And there's no religion, necessarily, that proves it indefinitely. There's no religion out there that proves indefinitely that their God is real. That's real. That's it. So you can put false hope and false faith into a religion if you want. And if you're content with that, then all power to you. Go for it. Go and go to a religion. That's fine. Brilliant. Do that. And I won't berate you for doing it. You just go and be religious and enjoy it. And maybe if you find happiness in that, brilliant. That's your thing. That's what gives you this inner peace. If, let's say, you find happiness in the mechanical viewpoint, go to that. I don't want to argue with you. Go to it. Run to it. Run to it and go to that. If you find comfort in science, then run to that. Go to that. Science is a good one because there's a lot of things in science that can be proven. Now, when I say proven, because science in itself is, if we're talking in the general scope of things, you're still using words. It's still a concept. So if we remove the words, you wouldn't have science. So even so, science falls. Science is only good in the realm of concept. So in that regard, science can be constituted somewhat as a religion. Now, of course, it's not a religion because things can be proven, but only proven in the realm of words, in the realm of concepts. So if you didn't say a word, you couldn't prove it. Aside from experiential evidence, of course. So, if you want to run for science, go to science. Do that. Go to science. Go to science. But just do what makes you happy. Don't say any. Don't do anything what everyone else wants to make you happy. Have faith in yourself, because that's all you know. You only know yourself. There's a philosophy called Stolopsism, and it's essentially the idea that all this is only a product of your own mind. It's all this that we're experiencing here is your own mind, right? It's just your own mind. That's it. That's all it is. So you can only ever have faith in the realm of that philosophy, if we're talking about that, which could be correct. If that's the case, you can only have faith in yourself. You can have faith in anything external, just yourself. I mean, kind of in that philosophy, everything external is internal anyway, because you're producing it out of your own mind and then giving it things like hardness and softness and stuff. But that shows you can only have faith in yourself, because that could be the case. It could be that this is all just a projection of your own mental energy, and you're the only person in the planet that's actually alive. So you can only have faith in yourself. Don't believe any of this crap. Don't believe science. Don't believe religion. Don't believe any. I don't care what words people tell you. Don't believe any of the buggers. Just believe what you are. And don't even attach any fixation or words to that. Just think, right, look at yourself and think, right, that's that. And then just go about life and do what you're going to do, and get married or have a job or whatever, and do what makes you happy and gives you that faith in yourself. But that's it, as I say, that's my view. As I say, I don't believe in... I do believe in science in one regard, but I don't believe in religion. I don't believe in science in a generality of removing all the concepts from life, essentially. But if others want to, I would say, as my personal opinion, as my kind of egotistical preach to people, don't believe in it. Don't believe in anything. That's what I've just said. But at the same time, if you want to, go for it. But I'm just giving my opinion, and I won't subscribe to any of it. I will live, I will die, but God knows whether life and death actually mean anything, because life and death are essentially concepts as well that are formulated in words. They're not actually... we can't observe them as real events unless we are to observe them as real events in the realm of concepts. So therefore, it's very valid that actually what we're experiencing is a generality of consciousness. And what I mean by that is that when we die, we get born as someone else. And Alan Watts touched on this, of course. We get born as someone else, and then that person goes off and lives their life. Now, of course, you die. Your memories and everything die. But you just get transferred to that other person, So, essentially, but again, that's a concept. So we can't rely on that. You see what's happening here? Everything we put in words is a concept, including the words themselves. So we end up in philosophy. If you want to be a true philosopher, you may as well just be silent, because that's the best philosophy. Being silent is the best philosophy. Just sitting here being silent, that is the best philosophy, because you're not attaching any fixation to any of this, and that means that it's superior. Because as soon as you affix something, an idea, to what all this is, you're automatically subscribing to that one idea. And then if that idea is false, well, that's it. But if you're silent and you don't believe anything, you don't follow anything, you're not religious or anything, you're not even atheist. You're not even atheist. You're not atheist. You're not religious. You're just nothing. You just then you're superior. But of course, we get into the argument of, well, no one would want to be silent for their entire life, because then they'd waste their life. Well, yeah, but then that goes back to the fact of, well, is death the end? You've wasted your life only if death is the end. Death isn't the end. You've not wasted your life. You've just been silent for part of this eternal generality of consciousness that's going on. But of course, the ego gets in the way of doing something like that, and the ego wants to create a good story for itself. It wants to elaborate on things. It wants to go out there and make its mark on the world, essentially. So, so then what we get to is we get back to the idea, as I was explaining, that you just do what you bloody want. You just do what you want. If you want to be a philosopher, be a philosopher. If you want to be religious, be religious. If you want to be a scientist, be a scientist. If you want to be a tramp or something, be a tramp. As long as it's something that you want to bloody do. And my other stipulation is as long as it's not hurting others. That's my own personal stipulation. Someone else wants to do something that hurts others, that's their prerogative. My philosophy is not to do that, but if that's something they want to do, that's what they're going to do. And that's the world, and that's why we've got murderers. That's why we've got people out there who in my view, are somewhat wrong. I mean, it does help the balance of the world in one way, in the murderers and the people out there in that respect. You know, because I am subscribing to the idea of yin and yang, the balance and positive and negative, therefore the murderers kind of balance the positive and negative of the world. That's what I'm trying to say. But in my egotistical personal viewpoint, I don't particularly like that. I don't subscribe to that. But there's something to be said for the idea that everyone just do what we want in life. Don't believe anything. Don't follow anything. Don't do anything. Just go ahead with your life as you are. That's that. You know, and that's probably one of the best philosophies in terms of having faith in yourself, other than the philosophy of just being silent. The philosophy of just being silent is superior to everything, and no one can contradict that. And it's quite funny that no one can contradict that, because if you contradict the fact that being silent isn't the superior philosophy, then you are living within a concept, and concepts can't be proven. That statement can't be proven either way, because we don't know essentially in this life whether our logic is logical, because we've got nothing to define it to. If a god came down and said, I am the ultimate god, there's no one other than me, I am it, then we could define whether our logic is logical against that god, right? Because then we'd know that he's the ultimate, so then our logic could be logical. But since we haven't got that as a security blanket, every word we say in humanity is a concept. We don't know whether it's right or wrong. We don't know, really. We can define in our own viewpoint, because we know what it would feel like to get murdered ourselves, we can define it as wrong. But that's just a concept of society. That's just society saying, well, someone in society saying, I wouldn't like to get murdered because it would feel terrible. So we're going to label that as wrong and put a law against it. Perfectly valid in my opinion, but you've also got to remember that that's a concept. There could be someone, I don't believe in a God up in heaven or anything, but there could be some sort of external force that actually wants us all to go around killing people. And then when we die, we've not done it, and you see what I mean? So they're all concepts. So therefore, if you relate a negative or a disagreement within a concept from something that's non-conceptual, then you're simply not erasing its validity anyway, because that concept is invalid to the non-conceptual. The non-conceptual entity, being the silence, is essentially the superior, opposed to the words and all the conceptual ideas that you hold above it, that you've drawn up for your own conclusions. They're only ideas. It's an idea. It's an idea that something is wrong and something is right. It's an idea that, someone is old and someone is young. We've chose to label them in such a way for societal viewpoints, essentially, for just living in a society, because you can imagine there wouldn't be a society without words. So that's why we've done it. That's why we've chose to, obviously evolution wise we've grown into words, but we use words as a way to communicate as a valid source of information within society, a valid source of passing information in society. But that's all they're worth. That's it. They're not worth anything else. So when you understand it and you can get a valid realization around it, and it is a realization, then what you start to understand is, oh, well, actually, all these words are nonsense. I may as well just be going like, and if you're intelligent and you know that words are a concept, you'll realise that I've just done is just as much as valid and intelligent as stringing along a set of words that we've created, because blah 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 is just the same as how I'm talking now. It's exactly the same. It's just different letters strung together in a different way, and it's just all conceptual. So yeah, anyway, I'll leave it there. We've gone over 2 hours now probably, so I will leave it there, guys, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. So your mic went off half an hour ago. Oh my god, I thought you were, bloody hell, don't say that. No sound. Oh, I was on a roll today. I was like, if that was true, I would have been distraught, because that was a bloody roll. I was on a roll today. Anyway, I'll leave it there. We've been 2 hours. That's way enough time, innit? So thank you everyone who stuck with me. It's still got 20 people in here. That's crazy. Yeah, that's mental. Be a tranny. No, I didn't say be a tranny. What are you on about? Anyway, I will, if you were reincarnated as a female reseller, who would you pick? Oh, I don't know. God, bloody hell. Anyway, I will leave it there. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me. Thank you very much to Tommy for the super chat. I very much appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one. Where's the end stream button? Up there, innit, now? I have to get used to this. It's very good, though, this new dashboard on YouTube. Right, see you in the next one, guys. See you soon.